Chapter 11. Accomplishments of a slave. After our lunch inside the restaurant, we headed off into the meadow. Raphtalia was humming cheerfully by the way. However, upon seeing the meadow, she began to tremble with fear lingering in her eyes. It may be scary, but I will definitely protect you from the monsters. She tilted her head upon hearing my words. Come on, these small fries can only make me itchy when they bite. I don't even feel any pain. Raphtalia was dumbfounded when I showed her the gallery of balloons hidden under my mantle. That's not painful. Nope. Then, I'll tank. One yes, Coho. I was a bit concerned over her coughing, but she seemed to be fine. We picked up medicinal herbs along the way while heading towards the forest. Oh, here they come again. 3 red balloons came flying out from a bush inside the forest. I sacrificed myself to make sure that none of them bit Raphtalia. All right, just do it like we had done it a while ago. Hi, 2. A motivated Raphtalia vigorously charged and backstabbed the red balloons. Pop, asterisk pop, asterisk pop, asterisk. With this, Raphtalia raised her level to 2. The requirement for red small shield has been unsealed. Red small shield true power sealed. Equipment bonus. For defensive power, I immediately changed my shield. Raphtalia's eyes popped out when she saw my shield transform. Goshijin-sama 3, just who are you? She didn't seem to know that I was the one and only shield hero. Well, up until now, she was nothing but a demi-human slave after all. I'm a hero. The hero of the shield. The legendary hero? So you know? Raphtalia timidly nodded. That's right, I'm a summoned hero. There are 3 more people like me. But I'm the weakest of them all. I began biting my fingernails, trying to contain this sudden outburst of rage. My head was filled with nothing but bloodlust when the face of that fucker popped up. Raphtalia was frightened by my eyes, instinctively knowing that she shouldn't dig any deeper into this. For the time being, today's task will be hunting monsters in this forest. I'll seize them and you'll pierce them. Hi. She had become somewhat accustomed to this as Raphtalia nodded obediently. And then, whenever we encountered enemies inside the forest, we'd always use the common tactic where I aggroed and disabled them while Raphtalia went in for the kill. Midway through, we encountered an enemy other than balloons for the first time. Rumush 4, a white, moving mushroom. It had sharp slanted eyes and was roughly the size of a human head. I tested my attacks on the Rumush, and it gave off a response identical to a red balloon's. Raphtalia then knocked this one down too. There were Rumush of other colors such as blue mushes and green mushes. Requirement for mush shield has been unsealed. Requirement for blue mush shield has been unsealed. Requirement for green mush shield has been unsealed. Mush shield true power seal. Equipment bonus. Plant identification 1 blue mush shield true power sealed. Equipment bonus. Simple compounding recipes 1 green mush shield true power sealed. Equipment bonus. Apprentices compounding. There were no status bonus. All of them gave level-based skill 5 bonuses. Compounding. Mass-producing medicine will be very valuable. By the end of the day, Raphtalia's level increased by 3, so in total, she was now at level 5. We walked through the meadow and camped around the riverbed in the evening. Coho. Raphtalia arrived at my side without voicing any complaints. I suppose it would do her some good if she learned to appreciate money by experiencing the difficulty of making some. After we lit a campfire with some firewood by the river, I took out a towel from inside my bag and gave it to Raphtalia. Go wash yourself for now. When you're done, come back here and warm your cold body with the fire. Hi. Raphtalia removed her clothes and dove into the river, where she then began cleansing herself. During that time, I began fishing in order to prepare our dinner. I properly kept an eye out for Raphtalia while doing so. There should only be weak balloons lurking around this area, but it would be wise to never let my guard down. I took a look over today's harvest. An abundant amount of meadows wild medical herb. A splendid amount of medical herbs that don't usually grow in the meadow. A reasonable amount of balloons balloon. A reasonable amount of assorted mush. Number of shields unsealed. For types. MHM. An obvious difference in efficiency. Buying a slave was the right choice. That's right. I should try to challenge compounding. I called forth some simple recipes. A window popped up, showing combination formulas that can be made with the medical herbs which I collected. As for equipment, I suppose I can only make a limited amount using the rocks and pebbles on the riverside. So let's try the recipes that can be made from a mortar. 6. However, the simple recipes didn't have any record of mixing techniques within it. Gory asterisk. 7. I tried imitating how the pharmacy owner mixed his medicine in order to witness the results. Heal pill has been made. Heal pill quality. Bad dash, a bit bad. A pill that hastens a wound's recovery needs to be applied on the wound to receive effects. This type of icon 8 floated in front of my eyes. Nice, it was a success. The shield was reacting, but I decided not to let the shield absorb the medicine for now. Alright, time to challenge an unfamiliar recipe. Sometimes the compounding failed and the stuff turned into a jet black waste. This was more fun than I expected. Pashi asterisk. The sound of fire crackling could be heard. Raphtalia was done bathing and had gone to warm herself up by the campfire. Are you warm yet? Yes. Coho. This looked very similar to a cold. The slave dealer did say that she was plagued with an illness. Coincidentally, there was a cold medicine amongst the experimental remedies. Regular medicine quality, somewhat acceptable. This medicine is effective against a mild cold. Hey, drink this. I was a bit anxious, but this was better than nothing. So bitter, dislike it, GUH. Raphtalia tried to say something selfish, but held her chest in pain instead. Here. Why dash yes. Raphtalia trembled as she swallowed the medicine that I passed to her. Huh. There, good girl. Raphtalia once again gave me a perplexed stare when I patted her head. These Tanuki 9 ears sure were fluffy. She hugged her tail while blushing, refusing to let me feel it. Did she think that I would try touching her tail when I looked at it? Here, this is your dinner. I handed a grilled fish over to Raphtalia, and then returned to compounding medicine. I've always loved working on these kinds of delicate projects. The sun had already set, but I kept on compounding, using the campfire for light. FOMO. This was fun in a lot of ways. Having already finished eating her fish, Raphtalia drowsily stared at the campfire while letting out some subtle snoring sounds. Go to sleep. Upon hearing my order, Raphtalia repeatedly shook her head. Was she being shy? She was refusing to sleep like a spoiled child. Well, I guess she was one. Anyways, it seemed like she would fall asleep eventually. Come to think of it, was the medicine effective? I hadn't heard her cough since then. Afterwards, I examined the remedies which were made for my experiments, and most of them had simple effects. Those deemed inferior were absorbed into the shield. Requirement for Petit Medicine Shield has been unsealed. Requirement for Petit Poison Shield has been unsealed. Petit Medicine Shield True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus, raises medicine's effects. Petit Poison Shield True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus, poison resistance, small. Both of them seem to be related to the Leaf Shield and Mush Shield. Though I had no idea how raises medicine's effects works. Does it increase the effect of the medicines that I use on myself, or the effect of the medicines which I create? Well, whatever. There was no mistake that today's harvest was a good one. No. Help me. Raphtalia let out a strange voice. The sleeping Raphtalia seemed to be having a nightmare. I felt like my ears went deaf for a moment there. This sucked. Balloons were coming our way. They probably got attracted by her screaming. I quickly went over to Raphtalia and covered her mouth. However, a loud noise could still be heard. I then recalled the slave dealer's concern about this dilemma. This certainly was problematic. Calm down. Just settle down already. I held the sobbing Raphtalia in my hands and cradled her. Tinoo and Osen. 11. Was she calling for her parents? Raphtalia could do nothing but cry and stretch out her hand, begging for help. It's fine. It's all right. You're safe now. I patted her head and continued cradling her. Don't cry. Be strong. Oh. 12. I continued to hug the weeping Raphtalia. Grop. A balloon that was attracted by her cries appeared. Foo. 13. Really, even at a time like this. I held Raphtalia close to me and charged at the balloon. You woo. 14. Chun. Asterisk. 15. Is it morning? What a terrible night. By the time I finished with the horde of balloons that appeared, Raphtalia's cries had also begun to quiet down. But when I tried to separate myself from her, if even a little, she would start wailing out loud again. Then the balloons would appear once more, which is why I was unable to get a wink of sleep. NN. You awake? Hi. 16. Raphtalia widely opened her eyes in surprise since I was holding her up in front of me. Huh. I'm tired. There was still some time before the town's gate opened, so I planned on taking a quick nap for now. Today, I would be selling the medicine which I had made yesterday. This should yield more profit than the raw medical herbs. If the herbs' value were higher than the medicines, then there would be no point in people making them. I'll be sleeping for a little while. As for breakfast, would the leftover fish from yesterday suit your taste? Raphtalia timidly nodded. Then good night. Call me if any monsters appear. It was painful just to keep my eyes open, so I was quickly lulled into a slumber full of dreams. I still didn't know the reason behind Raphtalia's panic attacks, and I wasn't too interested in hearing about it either. It's most likely due to the shock of being sold by her parents, or maybe from being kidnapped. Even if it was the latter, I had no obligation to return her. This gentleman here had paid big bucks for this slave after all. It was fine if she held a grudge over this. I needed to do all I could in order to survive. I have to find a way to return to my old world. That's all there is to it. Previous chapter, next chapter. Chapter 12. What's yours is mine. Around high noon, I opened my eyes and Raphtalia was there waiting for me. Are we going to the castle town? Coho, haha. She's coughing once again. I silently handed her the regular medicine, and Raphtalia took it while frowning. After that, it was time to drop by the pharmacy to do some business. Fumu, the quality of these isn't bad. Yusha-sama, are you familiar with pharmacology? Since I was no longer a stranger to the store, I was able to catch glimpses on some of the medicine's production. No, it was my first time making some yesterday. Compared to selling raw medical herbs, which one is more profitable? That's a difficult question. Although medical herbs are cheaper to use, medicines can usually save lives. Although the pharmacist frowned when he saw Raphtalia, I knew from observation that he didn't use cheap lies and was speaking honestly. The price of medicine has skyrocketed recently due to the prophecy, so demand for them are very high right now. FOMO, either risk failing to craft them for better sales or selling raw materials to their production line directly. It's debatable on which of the two will yield more gold. However, everything has its own silver lining. There's no disadvantage in continuing to collect more. Hey, does this mean you're not coming anymore? Didn't I say something along the lines of, for 2 weeks, I'll be selling medical herbs around town? The pharmacist understood my answer and looked at me with an odd expression before laughing. This time around, he gave me some hand-me-down equipment and taught me how to use them, taking my medical herbs as his payment while still buying the medicine off me. I received various tools besides the mortar. Laboratory equipment like measuring device, flask, and distiller. These should last me for quite a while before I have to get some new ones. Since these used goods were only collecting dust in the warehouse, you won't know when they might break. I suppose it's a good enough set for beginners. Anyways, with this I'll be able to try out more formulas. I just have to dispose of the balloon skins now. While on my way to the balloon buyer, I caught sight of some children from my peripheral vision. It seemed those balloon skins that the merchant bought were used as material to make actual, marketable balloons. The children were playing around with one of those as if it was a ball. Raphtalia was looking at those kids with envy. Nah, what's that? Yes. I pointed at the ball those children were playing with and asked. Well, that's one of the practical applications of what we do with the balloon skins. I see. Then can you make another using the goods we're about to sell? Yeah, well, if you really want one. We headed over to the buyer to sell our goods and left with money in hand. He then let me have one of the balls that was made from a balloon skin. Here. I threw the ball and Raphtalia caught it. With wide eyes, Raphtalia alternated between the ball and my face several times. What? You don't want it? M-MHM. Raphtalia laughed merrily, waving her head around. She laughed for the first time. Once we're done with today's work, you can go play around with it. Yay. She was somehow very energetic. This is good progress, because an energetic Raphtalia will be more beneficial for me. After that, we returned to the forest, exterminating monsters and collecting herbs just like yesterday. We were able to go in deeper thanks to my enhanced defense. Apparently, there is a village if we continued to advance into the forest. However, I refused to follow that bitch's advice. It was profitable, and we discovered various things. It was likely due to the fact that we were approaching the foot of the mountain range. Oh, we found a new enemy, an egg-like creature. This thing looked like it belonged to a branch of the balloon family. We're fighting this monster for the first time. I'll be going in first. Once I give you the signal, rush in for the kill. On, 2, that's a good answer. I charged at the monster. It also noticed me and bared its fangs my way. Gone. Asterisk 3. It really did no damage. There wasn't any pain or so much as an itch. Rafaria's blade flew through the air and easily impaled it. Taha. 4. We cleared monsters more vigorously compared to yesterday. An Eggy. 5. Another one of the earlier enemies. Followed by a parent asterisk sound. Eggy crumbled into pieces with egg yolk splattering everywhere when it died. BUE 6. This is nasty. Couldn't the shell be sold? This was such a waste. It smells rotten, so I guess it's inedible. I absorbed the shell pieces into the shield. Since she got used to it, Raphtalia was able to pierce the Eggy in an experienced manner. Requirement for Egg Shield has been unsealed. Egg Shield True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus. Culinary 1 another level-based skill bonus. This time was cooking, huh? We continued hunting the different color variations of this monster. Requirement for Blue Egg Shield has been unsealed. Requirement for Sky Egg Shield has been unsealed. Blue Egg Shield True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus. Judgment 1 Sky Egg Shield True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus. Beginner cooking recipes weird. It has only been skill bonuses lately. Does it depend on which type of enemy we defeat? Oh well. In the meantime, I'll just utilize my herb collecting skills more. The day seemed a little bit longer while up in the mountain. Still, I was a bit concerned over Raphtalia's equipment. Here are today's results. Me. Level 8 Raphtalia. Level 7 Damn. She almost caught up to me already. This was undoubtedly due to Raphtalia dealing the finishing blows. Goo asterisk. My stomach's empty. Raphtalia made a troubled expression as she said this to me. I guess you're right. Let's head back for our meal. We ended our exploration and headed back to town. After returning, I sold the Eggy shells that looked unusable for compounding. We made 9 silver today, including what we sold this morning. It was doubtful that we could make much from these shells. However, they were bought from me for an unexpectedly high price. The medicine and herbs also fetched a good price, making me reconsider what we should eat today. Well, considering that Raphtalia had been drooling all over the food stalls for a while now, I had no intention of pampering her, but she should be rewarded for her good work. So why not? Let's drop by, just for today. Is it okay? You wanted to eat here, right? Raphtalia nodded fiercely at my question. She had become quite honest. Asterisk Kehoe asterisk. She's coughing once again. I silently handed her a regular medicine. Then I ordered what looked like hardened mashed potatoes on a skewer from one of the stalls. Here, you worked hard today. After swallowing the medicine, Raphtalia happily accepted the skewer I held out and stuffed her face with it. Thank you. And dash, no prob. I'm glad that she had become so energetic. I looked around for a cheap-in while eating and walking. Do you want to stay here tonight? Raphtalia crying all night long was troublesome enough already. Please at least spare me the fights with the balloons. We went into the inn. Upon entering, the innkeeper blatantly scowled. 7. However, he instantly switched on his business smile. There's a chance my companion here will be crying at night. Is that all right? 8. I dangled the balloon concealed under my cloak threateningly in front of the other party as I asked. The dash, that's a bit, I can count on you, right? We'll be keeping the noise at a reasonable level. Why dash yes? Ever since coming to this world, I had learned that blackmailing was an important part of business. This whole damn country had made me into a target of ridicule. The damn king wouldn't be able to fully comprehend the damage his actions caused me. No, even if he did, he would probably say something. Like it couldn't be helped. 9. Seriously, all these parallel world elitists. I paid the fee and then unloaded our luggage inside the room we rented. Raphtalia's eyes sparkled while looking at the ball. Come back before nightfall. Also, stay as close to the inn as possible. Yay. Good grief. She really did act like a child her age. Demi-humans seem to be the object of contempt, but there shouldn't be any problems if she was seen and treated like an adventurer. Looking out of the window, I saw Raphtalia playing with her ball. I then did research on more methods of compounding. Approximately 20 minutes had passed since then. That was when I heard a loud, childish scream. Why is a demi-human playing in our turf? What was that? I peered out of the window. No matter how I look at it, all I saw was some sh*TTY bullies pointing at Raphtalia and harassing her. Good grief. No matter where you go, there will always be these type of kids lurking around the place. This brat. You have a nice toy, so hand it over. A dash. That's. Raphtalia seemed to be aware of the demi-human's low standing in society, so their reaction wasn't strange to her either. Huh. 10. I went out of the room and headed downstairs. I told you to hand it over. No. These fucking punks were intending to use violence as they encircled the frail and defiant Raphtalia. Hold it right there, you little sh**ts. What do you want, old geezer? Old geezer, he says. Whatever. I'm only 20 this year, and I don't care about this world's standards for age. I don't even care if I'm an old geezer to them. What reason do you have for demanding other people's belongings? Huh? That isn't your ball, is it? It's mine. I'm lending it to this girl. If you stole it from her, then that means you stole it from me. Just what are you saying, damn geezer? Sigh. It seemed they couldn't even understand that much with all the blood rushing into their brains. Even if he was a kid, I never intended to forgive him. Those who steal from people deserve to be punished. I see. Then I'll give you an even bigger ball. Noticing my demeanor, Raphtalia squeezed out her voice, telling the startled children, run away. However, the eyes of those little sh**ts underestimated me. I silently snickered deep down while I took out the balloon that was biting my arm. Gabu, my ass. 11. The balloon immediately paid the brat a visit with a bite on his ass. So kids, that one was a real ball. You guys want some too? Ouch. 12. That was not a joke. Dumbass. Die? Retard. I'll kick your ass too, you little sh**t. 13. I turned back towards the inn with the brats cursing me as they ran away. Aram, Raphtalia grabbed my mantle. Oi, there's a balloon still living in there. The frightened Raphtalia quickly flinched her hand away, her timid look making me laugh. Arigato. What was she talking about? Oh, while stroking Raphtalia's head, we both returned to the inn. Previous chapter, next chapter. Chapter 13. Remedy. The sun had set and the night grew cold. It was about time for Raphtalia's stomach to grumble. Leaving the luggage behind at the inn, we went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. We had some snacks just a while ago. Raphtalia got them from an unfamiliar shop, though I had no idea what was so good about them. Good grief, I needed a way to fatten up my wallet. I guess camping out will be our plan from now on. So I'll let you eat your fill for now. Let's see, Delia set for 2 people and a Neapolitan one, please. After giving the order to our server, our dinner soon arrived. Let's dig in. Raphtalia began eating by stuffing food into her mouth with her bare hands again. Judging from her growth, I would say that she was roughly around 10. She had been eyeing my plate, so I went ahead and ordered extra. Eat up while you can, since we'll be camping out from tomorrow onward. Haguat. 2. Nodding and eating at the same time is bad table manners. But since she's eating so gratefully, I'll excuse her behavior this time. 3. After that, we returned to our room where I took note of Raphtalia's appearance yet again. Your hair is a mess. Let's trim it a bit. Hi. I patted Raphtalia's head with a pawn asterisk since she was making an uneasy face. It'll be fine. I'm not going to give you a weird haircut. Besides, it was her current appearance that looked weird. Using a knife, I began trimming off the excessive hair with a gushy asterisk. I trimmed her hair to about shoulder length before I was done. All right, this much should be good, right? Compared to her old hairstyle, this one was at least more presentable. With this, she would look quite nice after dressing up. Raphtalia began twirling around, her face swelling with confidence. For, I wonder what she's so happy about. The shield reacted when I was cleaning up the leftover hair. I never would have imagined that. Sue asterisk 5. I opened my status to confirm, though it appeared that my LVL and Tree 6 were still insufficient. Crap, she turned around. Now then, you should hurry up and go to bed. She was being strangely honest, unlike yesterday. Well, that's good. She might weep again, so I busied myself by compounding inside the room. Nutritional supplement was created. Nutritional supplement quality bad - a bit bad. A medicine that relieves fatigue. It is also effective as a method of rapidly recovering from malnourishment. Recovery potion was created. Recovery potion quality a bit bad - normal. A medicine that treats certain illnesses. It will be less effective against more severe diseases. FOMO. There are various things that can be made using the mountain and forest herbs. Because of this, I can trade these at the pharmacy for a splendid sum of money. It was just that the materials were consumed at a fearsome rate that was borderline hazardous. Altogether, I made 6 nutritional supplements and a few other remedies. However, it was still very difficult to make high-quality medicines. I had no chance of winning against a specialist, since I'm the shield hero and not a pharmacist. Let's absorb some of them into the shield then. The requirement for calorie shield has been unsealed. The requirement for energy 7 shield has been unsealed. The requirement for energic shield had been unsealed. Calorie shield true power sealed. Equipment bonus, stamina boost, small, energy shield true power sealed. Equipment bonus, SP boost, small, energic shield true power sealed. Equipment bonus, stamina consumption decrease, small. For the time being, all of them gave status-related bonuses. Just what is stamina anyways? 8. Is it like physical fitness? It seems that I'll need to experience this myself. Next we had the medical herbs, but I wonder if it'll become more difficult if I continue to recklessly learn more crafting skills. I want more combat bonuses. Or maybe it's because I can't meet the unsealing requirement with only the herbs I had collected. Well, that's fine. And in 9, while stretching and preparing to go to sleep, I spotted Raphtalia squeezing her eyes tight. Looks like she wasn't able to get a good night's sleep. That was a sign she was about to weep. I covered her mouth right before she screamed. Then I held her in my arms while gently patting her with a pon-pon asterisk. 10 phew. I was somehow able to calm her down tonight. But she would cry again if I tried to let go of her now. Guess it can't be helped. Let's sleep together then. It felt kind of chilly. Feeling the sunlight shining on my face, I opened my eyes. Raphtalia, who was supposed to be sleeping next to me, was trembling in a corner of the room. What's wrong? Gomanasai, 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 Gomanasai. 11. I furrowed my eyebrows at Raphtalia, who was desperately muttering apologies. I could roughly guess the reason due to this damp chilliness which was coming from underneath me. I see. Raphtalia wet the bed. 12. She thought I would be angry. I had never heard of a 10-year-old wetting the bed, but there was no way I could be angry after looking at those frightened eyes of hers. I went over to Raphtalia. I reached my hand out, startling Raphtalia as she curled herself up into a ball and shielded her head. Good grief. I used that hand to pat the shoulder of a trembling Raphtalia. 13. Wetting the bed wasn't something that you can control, right? Come now. Hurry up and undress so you can wash yourself up. She'll need a spare change of clothes too, I suppose. Raphtalia looked at me with a mystified expression. You're not angry? How could I lash out at someone who's been regretting their actions? You reflected on what you did, so I'm not angry. The sheet was stained. I wondered how much I'll have to pay the innkeeper. We'll keep it as a piece of cloth for the time being. After that, I explained the situation to the innkeeper, paid for the damages, and then rushed off to buy some spare clothes from the weapon shop. Although the well water was a bit cold, I washed the sheet clean and packed it in our luggage bag. It seemed like a great idea to dry this sheet by tying it on a branch and hanging it as we walked through the meadow. Now then, it's getting a bit irritating to walk with Raphtalia, who continued apologizing. I told you not to worry about it. She really was an obedient child. However, it would also be troublesome for me if she had no motivation. Go asterisk. Raphtalia's stomach grumbled again. Oh, and her face was flushed with shame. I guess it's about time for breakfast. Raphtalia walked beside me while holding onto the hem of my shirt. Asterisk coho asterisk. All right then, you'll need to take this medicine as punishment. I handed a recovery potion over to Raphtalia. It seems like a persistent illness, one which required a regular intake of medicine, so this is exactly what she needs. Raphtalia's face turned extremely sour after just a sniff. However, she was very enthusiastic about drinking it since this was her punishment. Yua, so bitter, just bear with it. Goku asterisk. 14. Raphtalia, who finished drinking the whole thing, had a blenched face and looked about ready to vomit. By the way, that compounded medicine seemed to fetch a good price. But since the quality was poor, the horrible taste was even worse. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Chapter 14. Taking a life, exiting the meadow, we arrived along the fringe land between the mountain and forest. Raphtalia's fighting style had greatly improved thanks to her experience, and her movements were more skillful too. Our herb collecting was going well. Monsters steadily kept on coming and provided us with EXP, while our luggage was being overstuffed with all the item drops. But then it happened. Before we had only fought fable-like monsters. But now we had finally encountered our first animal class creature. A one-headed chestnut rabbit? Usaparu. 1. That's a weird name. Pyo. 2. The Usaparu spotted our presence and leaped at us, attacking with its huge buck teeth. Watch out. It targeted Raphtalia after judging she was weaker. I jumped out to protect her like usual. Chomp. Chomp. 3. It seemed that my defensive power was still higher than its attack. All right. Stab it. Hey. What's wrong? A living thing. Will have blood, right? I was barely able to make sense of Raphtalia's stuttering words. Deal with it. We'll be fighting these kind of enemies from now on. But. Chomp. Chomp. Usaparu repeatedly bit me with its teeth. Brace yourself and bear with it. Or else you'll become too much of a burden that I'll have to abandon you. That's right. Even if she's my cherished slave, if she can't fight, then she isn't needed. I'll just have to visit that perverse slave dealer and buy another slave, one who can fight properly. And no. Frightened with her eyes shut tight, Raphtalia stabbed the Usaparu multiple times with her knife. Blood began spewing after she pulled her weapon out. The Usaparu died with a thud and laid motionless on the ground. Raphtalia stared at her own knife while trembling. The scene thoroughly burnt into her eyes. Her complexion became pale. She looked as if she wanted to escape from all of this. However, we mustn't feel any remorse. Because we'll be fighting monsters like this again and again for hundreds, even thousands of times. Pyo. Another Usaparu appeared out of a bush, and it leaped at Raphtalia, trying to bite her. I immediately prevented the attack by jumping in between the two. Chomp. Sorry. To be honest, I had to push you. Because I can't do anything but protect others. So I have no choice but to leave you with all the dirty work. The Usaparu was chewing on my arm while I told this to Raphtalia. I can't get stronger if I don't do this. For this purpose, I need your help. If I don't, then there won't be a future for me. The time limit is fast approaching and the waves of disaster will soon appear. I had no confidence in surviving with how things stood now. But, within 1 week, a world-ruining wave will spawn. Because of that, I want to become stronger, even if it's only a little bit. Raphtalia was trembling as she listened to me. Are you fighting against that disaster? I was told that this was my role. So I'm not doing it because I want to. Guess we're similar in that regard. I was forced to defend against the wave. There's no sense of obligation or duty in it for me. So, please try to understand that I don't want us going our separate ways. Having to raise another slave will definitely be a waste. And sending her back into that cage won't make me feel good about myself either. But unfortunately, I have no money. If I want to buy a new slave, then I'll have to sell her. Understood. Goshijin-sama, I will fight. Color gradually returned to her pale face. She slowly nodded her head and thrust her blood-stained knife at the Usaparu's vital point. For some reason, her demeanor was the polar opposite of what she was like before. Her eyes now shined with determination. At the sight of the Usaparu squirming and convulsing, Raphtalia silently closed her eyes. Then a moment later, she changed her grip on the knife and began skinning the rabbit. Let me do that. I don't want you handling all the grunt work. I took out a knife used for dismantling, and with that the body of the Usaparu was soon dismembered. This is reality, not a game. It was understandable for someone to want to look away. But after killing a living creature for the first time, I truly understood what it means to be alive in this world. With the Usaparu's blood staining my hand, I was able to understand what Raphtalia had just gone through. I dismantled both rabbits and absorbed the pieces into the shield. The requirement for USA Leather Shield 4 has been unsealed. The requirement for USA Meat Shield 5 has been unsealed. USA Leather Shield True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus. 3 Agility USA Meat Shield True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus. Dismantling Techniques 1 I equipped the latter shield then stood up. Goshijin-sama, please, don't abandon me. 6. Raphtalia begged me while raising her face. She probably hated the mere thought of going back to that place, where she cried at night and was sick and famished. Without proper care, she'd probably die in there. That would certainly leave a bad aftertaste in my mouth. Although I'd love to imagine ridiculing that bitch until the climax of her death, it would be impractical for it to actually happen. 7. You've properly fulfilled your role, so I won't abandon you. Besides, I would be troubled if Raphtalia were to die. But then again, that's right. She's a creature of the similar gender, just like that bitch, the exact same as that bitch. I shook my head repeatedly. I need to stop thinking like this. It's bad for my heart. Right now, I have to find a way to grow stronger with this slave of mine, even if just a little. EXP 7/2. I want to lend my strength to Goshijin-sama, Disu. 8. From then on, Raphtalia was unbelievably enthusiastic about charging in and skewering the monsters which appeared. Someone who I always needed to keep safe was now being so aggressive without any inhibitions. This was some good development, but it seemed like she was motivated for the wrong reasons. The way I handled matters is not praiseworthy, it was entirely for self-interest. But still, these sort of things needed to be done no matter what. When evening came, we decided to rest within the forest. For that purpose, we found a spacious area, lit some firewood, and began setting up camp. We made a stew out of the usaparu's meat and edible herbs which we collected. The remaining meat was grilled over the campfire. Although our plan was to return back to town by tomorrow evening, we have no proof that the monster's meat will even sell. Since I was a bit skeptical, I used the judgment skill to identify the food and see if it was safe to eat. I cut a piece of the cooked meat to confirm that there was nothing wrong with it, but I still had no idea what it tasted like. They were just grilled and boiled, so it couldn't be considered a proper cuisine. I also activated my cooking skill, and the quality turned from normal to a tad good. So they shouldn't taste terrible either. Here, eat up. Raphtalia then began devouring the cooked stew and grilled meat. Oh dash oishi. 9. Her stomach grumbling in anticipation a little while ago, Raphtalia heartily ate with shining eyes. After today's fights, I became a LVL 10 and Raphtalia also became a LVL 10. She finally caught up with me. Oh well, it couldn't be helped. I started compounding under the light of the campfire. Our immediate goal is to gradually save up money, then to gear ourselves up, which is why I'll try to create the most expensive medicine in order to sell it. Grind, grind, grind. 10. I grounded the medical herbs with the mortar, then mixed the extracts together before transferring the solution into the beaker. Recovery potion was made. Nutritional supplement was made. Again, these recipes were ones which I had already discovered. This was the limit of simple compounding recipes 1. Even these 2 drugs were miraculously made with intuition. The shield's power, which was fueled by an eternal torch that will dash, who am I kidding dash, 11, of compounding, had reached its limit. Basically, most of the qualities were somewhat bad. Acho asterisk, did the effect of the medicine run out? I silently passed her a recovery potion, and Raphtalia drank it while frowning. Anyways, in order to acquire new sources of income, we will need to grow stronger. I'll watch over the campfire, you go ahead and sleep. So yeah, I'll wake you up after a while. Understood. She was strangely obedient. One could see a huge difference between this and our first meeting. Good night. Haha, pleasant dreams. Alright, we'll be selling those tomorrow. So go ahead and use the fur as a blanket. I passed Raphtalia the fur, which was fumigated while I was cooking in order to drive away fleas. It was a little small, but it should keep the body warm after bundling yourself up, right? Hi. Raphtalia frowned a bit after sniffing the fur's scent. Is it smoky? Yes, it's very smoky. I thought so. But it looks very warm. Raphtalia snuggled up to me, leaned against my back, and closed her eyes. Oh well, this was fine. I continued to make medicine and threw more wood into the campfire, just waiting for the moment when Raphtalia would begin shrieking like a banshee. Sigh. I wonder how long this lifestyle would continue. It might only last for 1 week more, huh? Although I shouldn't be thinking about dying anytime soon, I should always be prepared for that possibility. It's about time. Since we've been together for 3 days, I could somehow sense when she was about to make another uproar. And then, Raphtalia gently rubbed her eyes and slowly got up. Are you awake? She didn't scream. Ah, I see. It was because she was contently sleeping against my back. It may be a trauma, but it seems like she'll be fine if there's another person's warmth besides her while she slept. Goo. My stomach's empty. She got hungry again right after the feast she just ate. Hi. I gave Raphtalia the grilled meat, which was meant to be reserved for tomorrow's breakfast. Raphtalia delectably stuffed her mouth full of the meat. Well then, I'll be going to sleep now. Wake me up if anything happens. Hi. Raphtalia nodded while munching her food. Good grief, she became a lot more energetic. But look at how much of a glutton she turned into. Previous chapter, next chapter. Chapter 15. Traits of a demi-human. We took turns sleeping until morning came. At around noontime, a certain incident occurred. While we were hunting some usaparu that had appeared before us. Poking the knife in Raphtalia's hands had snapped off completely. Show it to me. It couldn't be helped. The knife had done its job and broke only after killing the last usaparu which had been gnawing at my arm. I'm sorry. Nothing lasts for an eternity. So it was inevitable for this knife to break. It was a cheap knife, not to mention it had never even been polished. We'll stop here for now before returning to town. Hi. The bag that Raphtalia carried was splendidly stuffed full of loot. On a side note, I've become a LVL-11, and so has Raphtalia. Along the way we had encountered several monsters, but we somehow managed to get by with my spare knife. Later on, we sold off our spoils, including the compounded medicine, for a grand total of 70 silver coins. Shari. One? I wonder which one we should get. You mean a knife? Raphtalia murmured while eating her lunch inside a street stall. We should be able to cover our living expenses by camping outdoors. And there wouldn't be a problem with food if we skinned the usaparu, too, for their meat. I stopped thinking about that for now. Since I didn't have a favorite store or know of any other good places to shop, I at least wanted to know more about the details of our purchased equipment. Well, guess we should go over to the weapon shop. Go. I heard a grumbling noise coming from behind me. My tummy's empty. Didn't you just eat a moment ago? Is it a growth spurt? Just how many times a day were you planning to eat? 3. Right, Engel's coefficient would skyrocket with her in the equation. 4. We need to start hunting again as soon as possible. At this rate our food expenses alone will bring us to ruin. And that's what happened, Oyaji. I'd like some weapons and protective gear within the range of 65 silver coins, plus a cheap knife. For some reason, Oyaji groaned with his palm on his head. Well, it's none of my business, but please properly maintain your equipment at least. Sorry about that. I thought the blood clean coating would take care of everything, so I didn't plan for it beforehand. Right. The balloon, mush, and eggy were creatures made from inorganic substances after all, and the bodily fluids of the eggy could definitely be wiped off without much effort. However, the blood of the usaparu stained the weapon. Not only that, but the blade seemed to deteriorate even faster because of improper care. But I'm amazed this girl's complexion is so much better after just 3 days. And haven't you gotten quite plump now? Raphtalia nodded at him with a proficient smile. Just what was Oyaji talking about? That's a fine expression. All right, let's get down to business. Oyaji, please prioritize the weapon's durability when you show us the wares meant for her. And how about you? I don't need any. You don't want anything? Raphtalia looked up at me and asked, does it look like I'll be needing any gear? Up until this point, I had yet to receive a single wound from a monster's attack. Didn't those T heroes once say that? Shields are easy at the beginning, but suck towards the endgame? That's why I didn't feel the need to buy myself equipment until we got to the point where I start taking damage. 5. Raphtalia groaned, looking unconvinced. Her hands were preciously holding onto the ball which I had bought for her before. Well, I guess this must be karma at work. I'll give you a little something as a bonus. I'll be haggling if the cost is too high. I'm already selling to you at dirt cheap prices here. If I tried to increase the price any further, you would be throwing those balloons around, right? The merchant incident from before must have started that rumor. Well, it's fine, since the end result will be the same either way. An eye for an eye, that's all I'm doing. Not that it matters to me, but even if I came up with a countermeasure, you'll just find another way around it. That'll be just like you, right? You certainly know me well. Anyone can tell with a glance that you, sir, are a shrewd businessman under the guise of a hero. 6. I'll take that as a compliment. Well then, Oyaji rubbed his chin while looking at Raphtalia. It's about time this Juchan 7 stop using a knife and start equipping a sword. Will it be all right? Seems she's quite enthusiastic about it. A sword proves to be a rather fine weapon for a beginner, no? Oyaji searched through a corner of his shop. Gotcha, so that's it. Will I be using this sword? Looks like it. I'll be tutoring her on how to use one. Then a tanned hide breastplate was brought to us from the back of the store. An iron short sword and a hide breastplate. Although they're a bit old, please bear with it. At least the size fits you. Oyaji handed Raphtalia the sword while the breastplate was worn on top of her casual clothes. Goo. Again. Duh. She is a demi-human, right? Since she's still a child, this much should be expected if she keeps leveling up. Wait, what? Is that common sense around here? This world sure worked on weird standards that I couldn't comprehend. A long time ago, I did hear about the tale of Hina the crow, where she'd die if she wasn't continuously fed. So there is some truth to that story. Guess it can't be helped. Just stay here and listen obediently to the lecture. I'll go buy you some food while you practice. Hi. Seeing our conversation, Oyaji bursted out laughing for some reason. Gaha. Okay, listen up. I'll now teach you all about the basics. I left the weapon shop and hurried towards the market. Demi-humans are truly a strange race, using hunger to compensate for level raising. Although her condition grew favorably and her self-consciousness also gradually became more resilient. But still, the food expenses were no joke. To make a long story short, I bought some food from the vending stalls and returned to find Oyaji teaching Raphtalia how to grip and swing a sword. Here you go. Thank you. She then munched away as Oyaji diligently taught her evasive maneuvers. Even in such a situation, the mood didn't change at all. What about you? I've got those evasive moves memorized. Well, you do seem like the blocking type. It would be rather dangerous for you to gawkily upset your balance. That marked the end of Oyaji's crash course on sword handling. I then paid the bill. After that, Oyaji passed me a small slab of white stone. What's this? A whetstone. The coating wasn't applied on the weapon this time, so it'll break in no time if you don't regularly maintain it. The shield reacted when I slowly grabbed the whetstone, which is why I ended up absorbing it. Hey, the requirement for Shield of Whetstone 8 has been liberated. Oh, this was the first shield that wasn't in English. 9. Well, whatever, it's still a shield. I should absorb more minerals from now on. Oh, I see. This isn't a new branch, 10, but one that's combined with the Sky Egg Shield and USA Meat Shield. Was it because the whetstone was as indispensable as a kitchen knife? The huge defensive power of the Egg Shield was quite frightening. It's likely that I would get the Usaparu Shield if I absorbed the whole Usaparu without dismembering it. Shield of Whetstone True Power Sealed. Equipment bonus. Mineral Identification 1+ Special Effect. Automatic Polishing 8 hours. High Consumption a special effect? I clicked the Help Confirm button. Special effect, an exclusive effect that will only be usable when equipped with a specific weapon. The effect won't be usable by other weapons, even if it's true. Powers have been unsealed. Therefore, one will need to fit a specific weapon into a slot for this special ability to take effect. So it's something like that? A type of effect that grants immense power like in those games. I quickly changed my shield. Huh. What the heck is that? Shield of Whetstone. It looks like the small shield, but is a whole lot bigger. A huge shield made of whetstone. But there's a pattern of slots on top of the shield, with the multiple holes varying in shapes and sizes. Some are fat while others are thin. Hey you, tell me what's going on. FOMO. Just what did automatic polishing, 8 hours, high consumption mean? Although, I am expecting it to do what it's advertised. Hey, huh? What's up, Oyaji? What on this flat Melro mark, 11, is that shield? Don't you know already? It's the legendary shield. I've never seen or heard anything like this. You saw it before, though it was a small shield back then. Huh. Then why on Melro mark 12 did it turn into a whetstone? I guess it's because it absorbed the whetstone. At this rate, Oyaji wouldn't be able to comprehend this situation anytime soon. You must have heard that the legendary weapon holds mysterious powers. This is just one of its powers. You didn't hear this from the other heroes. 13. I hadn't seen them recently. You were the first one to transform your weapon right in front of me. Our natural adversary will be spawning in about 1 week. So shouldn't they be sharing what they know with others, even if just a little? It seems those bastards were too selfish to even assist their peers properly. I don't even have an ounce of trust for those type of people either. But then again, it may not be necessary for them, since they weren't in the loser category like me. So what are you troubled about? Haha. It seems to have an effect of automatic polishing, 8 hours, high consumption. But I don't know if it's really possible to polish without using anything else. I didn't know what would be consumed. FOMO, Oyaji went to grab a rusty sword from within his shop and inserted it inside one of the slots in my shield. I'll give you this trash weapon as a bonus. Use that and see what it does. Ooh, you have my thanks. There was an icon which popped up in the corner of my screen, polishing. There was a lot of pressure. Then, I felt a heavy weight on my shoulders. I immediately glanced at the icon and opened up my status. In there, I saw my SP gradually reducing. I previously thought that something physical would be consumed, but I guess this shield can be used in this way too. Now then, guess we'll be taking our leave. We're going. Haha. Stepping out of the weapon shop, I continued to stroke Raphtalia's head for a short while. So now, in order for us to raise our level and procure food for the ever-growing Raphtalia, I'll need to go on another journey. All right, Oyaji. Glaring heedlessly at me, Oyaji said with an exasperated tone. You still need something. Do you know about the dungeon that's located near the forest village? I asked while opening up a cheap map and pointing at the spot where that bitch had recommended. I want to have another person's reference just in case. Though actually trusting them is another matter entirely. The monsters are different from the forest. I heard they're more similar to the ones which show up along that village's highway. I see. Guess we'll see for ourselves once we get there. Right now, we have to evolve my shield and earn as much money as possible before the next wave. Previous chapter, next chapter. Chapter 16. Preparations for the wave requirement for rope shield has been released. Requirement for Piku. One shield has been released. Requirement for wood shield has been released. Requirement for rock shield has been released. Requirement for butterfly shield has been released. Requirement for pipe shield has been released, etc. Rope shield unsealing 2. Completed. Equipment bonus. Skill. Airstrike shield. Piku shield unsealing completed. Equipment bonus. Beginner ranks weapon repair techniques. I would shield unsealing completed. Equipment bonus. Lumbering techniques. I butterfly shield unsealing completed. Equipment bonus. Paralysis resistance. Small. Pipe shield unsealing completed. Equipment bonus. Skill. Shield prison etc. It had been 8 days since then. After parting with Oyaji, we journeyed to the new village. The village's name was Ryudo. It seemed like a good, operational base for adventurers. But since there was only one in around, the fee was 1 silver coin per night. The merchant buyer, 3, dropped by this place only once every 2 days. There was no pharmacy store, so I had to sell cheaper medicine directly to the villagers in order to compete with the castle town's pharmacy imports. To compensate for this, the medicines I sold were all subpar in quality. By the way, my notoriety had spread quite far. When I arrived, I had to punish quite a few morons with my balloon release. And that's the gist of it. Thanks to the monsters around town, the medical herbs, and the lumber, I was able to absorb them all and create multiple shields. I also learned a lot of new skills and techniques. There were also various stat increases, but I won't go into that since it's such a hassle. Wait, Raphtalia began chasing the porcupine-like monster who, upon realizing its disadvantage, fled the battle. Raphtalia's level had raised considerably. I was now at LV20 while she was at LV25. Her growth was surprisingly fast. On a side note, I was still fighting in my ordinary clothes. 4. And since I had yet to take any damage, not to mention all the monster attacks seemed quite weak up until now, this incident became a real head-scratcher when I thought about it. Yet it served as a painful experience for me. Overestimating my defense, I went into battle with a weak shield, and it hurt like hell when I had gotten hit. Astonishingly, I had received some small scratches from this porcupine's ambush attack. Ouch, that hurt a bit. It's been a while since I last felt like this. I promptly smeared the wound with a heal pill to prevent the bleeding. That needle sure stung when I got hit, naturally. I've already forgotten about these sort of sensations ever since coming to this world and receiving the shield's protection. Like I said before, it hurts, right? Now Fumi-sama should just give in and buy some equipment already. 5. No. It was only because I was using a weak shield. Since when did Raphtalia start calling me no Fumi-sama instead of Goshijin-sama? Well, whatever. It wasn't such a bad thing since it had a nice ring to it. Anyways, my shield could cover up my whole body, so it wouldn't make any sense to also wear individual pieces of small protective gear. Just in case, I had always defended with the sturdiest part of my shield, and I hadn't received a single injury up until now. So this is my very first time experiencing damage. That's all there is to it. I watched the whetstone shield's auto-polishing at work. It really was quite a convenient shield, one that I always used. The polishing time period was 8 hours. There'll be no effect if I pulled any weapons out beforehand. The only drawback was that while in use, my SP won't recover since I'll be continuously drained. Speaking of which, I guess I should try utilizing the other abilities in my skill set. Air Strike Shield. It's the first skill which I learned. It summons a shield within a range of about 5 meters. But it served no purpose if I was alone. It felt like everyone was forced into having a specialized role. I focused my mind, imagining the desired location to call forth my Air Strike Shield. This mysterious ward which will vanish once its duration time is over. All right, just a little bit more. The porcupine stumbled in surprise due to the sudden appearance of my conjured shield. However, it immediately regained its balance and resumed its escape once again. 6. And here I thought that 5 meters was more than enough distance to catch up with you. This one was surprisingly fast at fleeing. Guess I'll have to use this. Shield Prison. A skill which allows me to summon an enclosed cage, 7, anywhere within a 6-meter radius. This time around, I'll be dropping it directly on my target, the porcupine. Although this skill was intended for protection, it could also be used as a restraining device to trap a target inside. Indeed, it was both an offensive and defensive skill. Key 8. No longer able to escape. The porcupine rampaged inside the shield prison. Its duration period was 15 seconds. During that time, Raphtalia rapidly approached the shield prison. Then, right as its effect had ended, she pierced the porcupine with her sword. I did it. Raphtalia triumphantly returned while gripping the dead porcupine. Nice. EXP 48, an adequate harvest. We defeated our quarry, properly dissected its remains, and then absorbed the pieces into the shield so that it would undergo transformation. I only discovered this last week, but it seems the balloon, mush, and eggy were all classified as material 9. Well, that hadn't been anything worth noticing back then, really. I immediately dismantled the porcupine into needles, meat, and skin. It was quite easy after learning the trick to it. All of them were precious materials and must be handled with care. I absorbed the leftovers into the shield. The bones belonged to the bone category, which required several other bones from different monsters, while the skin belonged to the pelt category and granted some additional stats through equipment bonuses. Of course, there were some cases where I lacked the required LVL or category in order to unseal. The meat belonged to the cuisine category, a topic which certainly caught my attention. 10. I'm looking forward to what the needles will do. They are a porcupine's trademark after all. Requirement for animal needle shield has been unsealed. So it's a shield made of an animal's spikes. A needle shield. I'm excited to see what the unsealed effect will be. Animal needle shield sealed, 11. Equipment bonus. Offensive power 1 plus special effect. Shield of needles, small. Hell yeah? An increase in my offensive power year. Yeah, I know. It's only a measly increase of 1 plus 12. Although I didn't know what special effect, Shield of Needles Small, could actually do, I was able to acquire an offensive shield, which is far more important. This was just the beginning. From now on, I'll be able to attack too if I kept absorbing items that are connected with this shield type category. The defensive force was slightly lower than the others belonging to the mineral category, but that should be alright. How did it go? Haha. It seems that this shield will increase my attack power. So you finally got one. Good for you. But how about its defensive force? Raphtalia pointed at my wound with a dubious look. It's SOSO, I guess. Is that so? I wanted to ask if my sword could be polished, but got it. Let's end our hunt and return to the forest for now. Hi. I equipped the whetstone shield and inserted Raphtalia's sword into one of its slots. Currently polishing. Now then, our levels rose considerably after a full week's worth of extensive money-making, and we saved up a grand total of 230 silver coins. A moderate amount of medicine was sold, and the business on lumbering and mining was booming thanks to my new shield skills. There was a shallow cause for concern, however, as it seemed that my online gaming tendencies were influencing how I had been acting. Well, I was too preoccupied with choosing the best possible method in order to earn money. And I didn't waste time on pointless actions which didn't strengthen me either. So it couldn't be helped since this was what I needed to do to survive. Well then, we should return soon and upgrade your gear, Raphtalia. Now Fumi-sama. For some reason, Raphtalia was softly smiling at me. Yet I couldn't help but feel a strange, spine-freezing chill at the mere sight of her. Although, I very much welcome the idea of buying new equipment. But can you please pay a little more attention to yourself and how you're dressed? Do I look weird or something? Except for that shield, you look like a common villager. Well, it wasn't really necessary, but I guess a small change in my attire should be alright. Gashi, asterisk, 13. Raphtalia threateningly gripped my shoulder with a smile. Didn't you just get injured a short while ago? Like I said, I was deliberately using a weak shield. So it should still be fine, right? Your weapon's much more important than me right now, so it's better to invest our now, Fumi-sama? Do you know that you'll be dying very soon if you keep on joking like this? 14. Death. With spare sword in hand, Raphtalia was poking me with it forebodingly. 15. Although I supposedly couldn't be harmed by her due to the slave's restraining spell. To begin with, shouldn't you worry more about your own equipment? The deadline is approaching, isn't it? Haha. Come to think of it, she's right. There were only a few days left before the wave of calamity spawns. I'll need to continue growing stronger until then. Though I've certainly become anxious about dressing up like your average townie. The ends and the means had truly been misplaced. 16. 17. Even though I wanted to raise my offensive power a bit more. Instead of me, let's hurry up and find Naofumi-sama's equipment right away. I guess so, we'll be buying my equipment for the time being. But we'll use the remaining money to get your weapon. Hi. Although it's fine with me since I've gotten used to it. She sure has become rather cheeky. Her violent actions have escalated recently along with her stubbornness. I really wanted to know why our positions were somehow reversed. She's become quite a bossy slave if I do say so myself. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Chapter 17. Armor of the Savage Tribe. Oh well, if it isn't the shield lad. It's already been over a week now. After returning to the castle town, we had gone straight to the shopping district. Yet for some reason, Oyaji had his mouth wide open when he looked over at Raphtalia. We're only meeting again after a short while. And look at how much of a beauty you've become. Just what was he saying? Why was Oyaji mumbling incoherently like this? You've developed so nicely. This is far too different from your previous, famished complexion. Please don't phrase it as if I'm getting fat. Seemingly bothered by his statement, Raphtalia fidgeted while fiddling with her fingers. That reaction of hers was repulsive. She reminded me of that bitch of a woman. Gahaha. You grew up into such an adorable mink. One grew up? Well, her level certainly rose. A week ago she was at LVL 10, and now she was at LVL 25. But did her physical appearance really change that much? Fumu, you're quite cynical, you know that? I have no idea what nonsense you're talking about. It was true that anyone would find a little 10-year-old girl cute too. But since she had only been eating meat, and more meat all day long, it might have made her a bit chubby. Every time her stomach grumbled, we would immediately cook up the meat from the monsters we had encountered. I was afraid she might turn into one of those berry people 3 due to her unbalanced diet. So I started adding medical herbs into her meals, even though it broke my heart and wallet by doing so. She hadn't been coughing recently, probably thanks to the recovery potions finally taking effect. What were you up to this past week? Hunting. The village and staff had taught me some table manners. Since I wanted to be able to dine as elegantly as Naofumi-sama someday. Looks like you're well on your way. Unexpectedly, Oyaji was in a real good mood. At this rate he'll probably sell us some high-quality wares. So keep on flattering him, Raphtalia. So what's your business with me today? I plan on purchasing some equipment, I said while pointing at Raphtalia. In response, she firmly gripped my finger with an eerie smile on her face. Please consider Naofumi-sama and his protective gear this time around. Gotcha. But for what reason? I'd like to ask that you take a moment to ponder it over yourself. Well, to prepare for the incoming wave, I guess. Just what are you two getting at? I seriously don't have the slightest idea of what this Ju-chan is saying here. For just what in the world were these guys even talking about? Both Raphtalia and I had already decided that we'll be buying my equipment, right? So, seems like we'll be getting you some armor. Around how much are you looking to spend? Within the range of 180 silver coins, if you would. Raphtalia rattled off our budget range without my consent. Now, that had ticked me off some. If we settled for that price, then we couldn't buy a new weapon for her. Let's see. Well, my best balanced armor for that amount would be this chain mail here. That chain mail. BH. Dark emotions began creeping up from deep within my gut. It'd be utterly humiliating for me to rebuy a piece of equipment which had originally been mine. Well, if the shield lad hates this so much, I suppose we should go with something else. Oyaji replied while scratching his head, understanding my reaction, as he turned to his other armory in stock. To be honest, it's kind of hard to find an appropriate gear within this price range. How does an iron-plated mail sound to you? He asked while pointing at the armor in question. It was a huge sheet of iron morphed into a full-guarded plate. The armor was decorated with the Castle Town symbol. I knew about this. Back in my old world, this was what people called a full-plate mail or something like that. This type of armor was said to be extremely tedious to move in. The wearer couldn't even stand by themselves. And finally, they were the fastest to sink in a swamp. Some physical stamina will be needed in order to wear this. Its only fault is that the airwalk feature isn't applied to it. Airwalk feature? A function which allows the wearer to lighten their weight by consuming their own magic power. A truly magnificent ability. I agree. Basically, in this world, if a full-body armor didn't have the airwalk function, then it was nothing more than an immobile sandbag. That's not quite right. If the wearer was physically capable, then they should be able to move around somewhat. However, I don't have much stamina at this point in time. Seems like we can make it lighter and cheaper by removing the bulkier-looking parts. So, lad, you were thinking along those lines after all. Isn't that a given? Iron breastplates are indeed cheaper to buy, but their protective coverage is very limited. FOMO, while high defense is a must, losing your mobility in exchange would make it meaningless. It was good and all to become as solid as a wall, but it would be a huge problem if I could barely move at all. I'd like to refrain from equipping gear which decreased mobility as much as possible. The airwalk feature, huh? I wonder how much it would cost to add that function on. With that said, I might be able to craft a custom-made armor if you can bring me the materials. Sounds good. I enjoy doing these sort of things. You have a satisfied expression there, lad. Guess we'll go with this plan. Oyaji spread out a parchment with the names of various materials written on it. I can't read this. While it was possible to communicate directly thanks to the shield's translation feature, I still couldn't read the writings of this world. Oyaji looked troubled, so he went ahead and explained everything to me. You can buy some cheap copper and iron from the atelier over there. After that, bring me some usaparu and porcupine hides, and then a few piku feathers. Here are the hides and feathers. With a smile, Raphtalia happily took out the hides and feathers from inside our luggage sack. Those were used as our blankets and bedding since they were warm and fluffy. But, well, I suppose it's fine either way. The quality of the armor will be a bit bad, but it's still good for practical use. Then what's the reason for making it? This is the barbarian armor. Its performance is on par with the chainmail and covers the majority of the body. It may be a bit cold to wear, but it's very strong. Oh, barbarian armor. Somehow the phrase sounds a bit unpleasant. There's a trick to add some magical options as a bonus, but this step can be done later when you've finished with gathering the other materials. That's reassuring. Well then, let's go and buy some iron and copper. Let's go? Let's go right away. Raphtalia energetically pulled my hand along while rushing me outside. What's the big deal? Now Fumi-sama is going to look like a real adventurer. I can't wait to see it. Well, I guess so. She did say that I looked exactly like a villager. Although the equipment would be a bit barbarous, it wasn't like I had much choice. We then headed towards the metal atelier and bought the required amount of iron and copper. They seemed to have heard about us from Oyaji, so they sold us the goods at a surprisingly cheap price. They also said that Raphtalia was cute and gave us a little extra. The Asin, 5, from the metal atelier was grinning widely while looking at her. Raphtalia graciously waved back at him in return. I didn't even want to start preaching about the pedophilia morality to this world. 6. That was some quick material gathering. It's all thanks to your own efforts. Isn't that right, lad? Well, yeah. Since a lot of Oyaji's acquaintances are Lilicons, I can already point out 2 or 3 of them. Lilicon? What on Melromark are you saying? You don't understand what Lilicons are? I thought you would understand this word through the shield's translating feature. Not that. I just don't get why you think my coworkers' preferences are for young girls. They said that Raphtalia was cute, so they sold the goods even cheaper to us. Lad, could it be that you seriously don't know? Don't know what? Oyaji, it's fine for now. Raphtalia said that while shaking her head. Oyaji somehow understood. Resigned, he slumped his shoulders and threw me a glance. It'll be done by tomorrow, so please wait until then. That's fast. I thought it would take at least 2 days minimum for you to finish. That might be the case for some stranger. But it's different for you, lad. For once, you have my gratitude. Waha. That sure was a butt-scratcher 7 of a reply. He sure was making fun of me just because I showed him a little appreciation. So what's the price of this custom-made armor? Including the fee for copper and iron, about 130 silver coins. In addition, you can add some optional enhancements. Is that the base cost? I thought it would be fine so long as I got the required materials. Waha. Those were already taken into account at the 130 coins price tag. I can't go any lower than that. I understand. Then it's good enough for me. I took out 130 silver coins and handed them over to Oyaji. Thanks for your patronage. Ah, that's right. Oyaji, I want to buy a weapon within the range of 90 silver coins. I'm guessing it's for this Juchan here. Haha, that's right. The ordinary sword which we bought last week was newly polished now. So we should ask for a trade-in. Raphtalia. Hi. Raphtalia pulled out the sword from her waist and put it on the counter. I want to ask for a resale. So here, include this sword into the payment amount. Fumo. Looks like you've properly maintained it this time around. All thanks to my shield. The polishing maintenance would end by the next morning if we inserted the weapon inside the whetstone shield before going to sleep. It also kept the blade nice and sharp for ease of cutting. That's a convenient shield. I want one too. You won't be able to equip any other weapon, you know. I'm just a moving wall without any attack power. I would gladly hand this over to anyone who wanted it. If only that was possible. That part is quite bothersome. I waited for the trade-in to commence while enduring Oyaji's obnoxious laughter. There's not a speck of rust on the blade. As expected of the legendary shield, its performance is superb. Oyaji stated his open admiration while inspecting the sword's durability. Let me see. With this much left over, I can sell you a magic iron sword. Magic iron sword was definitely higher than an iron sword in terms of weapon ranking. It should be a given that blood clean coating is included, right? URG, I'll add that as a bonus. I know full well that you're working hard, lad. Oyaji sure was a great guy. If you think about, he had been giving me various extras ever since the day I had been robbed and was left with absolutely nothing. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I express those sincere words of gratitude to Oyaji. Lad, it's good to see that same glint in your eyes just like the first time we met. You've shown me some fine stuff today. Oyaji somehow seemed satisfied as he handed the magic iron sword to Raphtalia. Good weapons will only become powerful in capable hands, while they'll only turn into worthless junk in the hands of the talentless. However, I believe that you'll be able to fully master their strength. Give it your best shot, Juchan. Hi. Raphtalia sheathed the sword on her waist with sparkling, motivated eyes. Now then, please come again around this time tomorrow. Arg. 8. Thank you very much. 9. Until then. 10. And thus, we left the weapon shop. With our business there done, we headed off thinking about what to eat and what we should do for the remaining day. Even though I couldn't taste anything, I still needed to eat since I got hungry like everyone else. In my hands were 10 silver coins. What we managed to save up in 1 full week had vanished instantly. Oh well, this was well within expectations, and these coins should be good enough to make our future investments. Fortunately, there were plenty of ways to earn money. Ah, that's right. Do you want to eat at the shop that we went to a while ago? Are you sure it's all right? I'm looking forward to seeing Raphtalia's gluttonous manners as she devours the food off her plate again. Please stop that. Mao. 11. I'm not a child anymore. The previously cheerful Raphtalia was now getting angry as she puffed her cheeks. Why would you suddenly try to be an adult when you were acting like a kid only a week ago? It looked like our little girl had just hit puberty. Yeah. You honestly want to eat. I understand that. I truly do. Naal Fumisama isn't even listening to a word I'm saying. It's okay. You're totally an adult. With that being said, you really want to chow down, don't you? You think I can't see through your true thoughts behind those kind eyes used to patronize children? I don't need that kind of sympathy. Good grief. She sure was at a difficult age. Should we still get a kid's lunch for her? We entered the same shop, which served those. Welcome. Oh, our server courteously guided us to our table this time. Was this the effect of changing Raphtalia's hairstyle? People sure were cruel over the smallest things back then. I'll be ordering the cheapest meal set you have, while this girl will get the lunch for kids, the one with the little flag on it. Now, Fumi-sama. The employee confirmed our orders with a perplexed expression while alternating between me and Raphtalia. Please give me the cheapest table course meal as well. Why, yes. Our server nodded at Raphtalia and returned to the kitchen. What was that for? Do you really dislike the kids' lunch that much? As I said before, I've already grown up. Okay. Guess it couldn't be helped. I'll let Raphtalia indulge in her selfishness for now. I suppose my only current obligation is to let her eat what she wants to eat. Previous chapter, next chapter. Chapter 18. Dragon engraved hourglass. The next day, we showed up at the weapon shop. Well, if it isn't the lad. How's our order coming along? Done. I finished it a long while ago, Oyaji said while bringing out a set of armor from behind the counter. What came out was a rather rough and lawless-looking set of unrefined armor. There was a wild vibe to it. The Usaparu hides made up the fluffy wool portion around the neck, while the chest area was comprised of a metal plate. The joints weren't connected by metal, but by the porcupine skins. Putting my hand in, I could feel the picu feathers fully stuffed between the dual skin layers. I'm going to wear this. How should I say this? It looked like the type of armor that bandit lords would wear. Just what were they thinking by calling this the barbarian's armor? I would look like one of those small-time Yankees back in the 90s if I wore this. What's wrong, lad? No, I'm just thinking this looks like the armor of a wicked scoundrel. What are you saying at this late hour, lad? Are you implying that I'm already a wicked scoundrel to begin with? I certainly made the most efficient choices when it came to making money, but that didn't make me a villain, okay? It will definitely suit you. Now, Fumi-sama. Raphtalia, you. Wasn't that like admitting I was one of them? Anyways, just try it on for us. URG. I would avoid it if possible, but there isn't any other choice since we went through so much trouble in making this armor. I immediately got changed after entering the dressing room. I couldn't even begin to describe my amazement on how perfectly fitted the size was. It truly was something that could only be made by Oyaji, a true owner of a store who deals with weapons and armory. He could tell my specific sizes just by looking. 2. I came out of the dressing room and presented myself to both Oyaji and Raphtalia. Fumo, your face may not give off that barbaric vibe, but I can see the glint of a lawless thug within your eyes. Huh? Are you saying that I have nasty-looking eyes? Lad, you sure are quick on the uptake regarding important details. Damn it, just what did you mean by that? Now, Fumi-sama, it suits you so well, and you look so cool. Raphtalia gushed over with a smile. I glared at Raphtalia in silence, using the meanest look and most hurtful eyes as possible. That was my intention anyways. Just what kind of environment did she grow up in? I forgot that Raphtalia was a demi-human. It was probably because of that she had a different aesthetic sense compared to me. I confirmed through the status that this armor's defense was on par with the chainmail. Rather, it was a bit higher. Oyaji sent me a wink. So this was his bonus for us. That was quite considerate, I must say. 3. Thank you. Frankly speaking, this kind of thing wasn't a hobby of mine, but I couldn't do anything about it since I had to prepare for the incoming wave. I convinced myself using that reasoning. Now then, what should we do? That reminds me, the town's atmosphere had been kind of tense lately. The wave will probably be coming very soon. But where and when will it spawn? Nobody told you, lad. About what? Information that Oyaji knew, but I was ignorant of. About this country's countermeasures against the calamity. I secretly cursed while listening to what Oyaji had to say. You've probably seen this country's huge, famed clock tower in the town plaza, right? Well, only a glimpse. I've usually been operating around the outskirts of town. The dragon-engraved hourglass is inside that building. When the final bit of sand from the hourglass drips down, the heroes along with their merry band will be teleported to where the wave of great calamity will occur. Oh, without a doubt, that *T2Y King probably told this tidbit of info to the other heroes and their companions beforehand. If you don't know when the wave will appear, why not stop over and take a look for yourself? I guess. I'll be very troubled if I had no idea when I would be warped. I plan on dropping by that place for some reassurance. Well then, Oyaji. So long then. Until next time. We said our farewells and headed for the clock tower. In the entire town, the clock tower was the tallest structure around. From up close, it would rival the height of modern city buildings. For some reason, the clock tower's roof was dome-shaped, very much like a church. It seemed that there was no entrance fee. The gates were wide open and people were going in and out. Wearing an outfit similar to a nun, the female receptionist was eyeing me suspiciously. She probably recognized my face. "Are you the hero of the shield?" "Haha. As you can see, I'm here since the time limit is just around the corner." "Then, please come this way." I was then guided towards an hourglass enshrined in the middle of the church. A gigantic hourglass with a whopping height of approximately 7 meters. It was decorated and gave off an indescribably divine aura. What was it? My spine felt tingling, like a surge of electricity was rushing up. Just by looking at it, my instincts kicked in and a strange sensation began to stir from within my body. The color of the sand was red. I turned my gaze upon the smooth, dripping sand. I immediately understood what would happen once the last grain fell. Letting out a pin asterisk sound, a single beam of light flashed from my shield and into the center of the dragon-engraved hourglass, striking the jewel from within it. Then a digital clock appeared in my peripheral vision. 2012. The 12 value soon turned into 11 after a short while. I see. So the exact time remaining was translated for my own understanding. Using this will allow me to act accordingly. However, the things that I could do within a 20-hour time frame were extremely limited. All things considered, the best option was to gather as many meadow herbs as possible for the rest of the day. I also needed to prepare some healing medicine. "Huh? Isn't that Naofumi over there?" A loathsome, despicable voice resounded from within the tower's interior. Walking around with a huge harem of women, the spear hero Motoyasu casually came over to me. What a pain. I want to immediately send his ass flying. But considering the time and place, I restrained myself from doing so. "Did you also come here in preparation for the wave?" That was one hell of an indescribably lascivious look. He looked me over from top to bottom with a single, scornful glance. "What the hell, man? Are you planning on fighting with equipment of that level? And what if I am? Who do you think I have to thank for putting me in this situation? You and that goddamn bitch behind your sorry ass." Motoyasu's gear was vastly different from a month ago. One can tell how high-leveled he was with a single glance at his equipment. It wasn't iron-based, but a shiny armor made from silver. He wore cloth underneath which emitted a beautiful pale green tint, most likely due to the extra effects blessed by those clothes. Not only that, but there was the layer of chain mail worn in between those two. It was as if Motoyasu was boasting his absolute defense. His legendary weapon wasn't in its original, sorry state either. And although it is vexing to admit, the spear's design was simply downright awesome, to be honest. It was a pike. Well, I guess that was still a spear. Talking with this guy was such a pain. I turned my back on Motoyasu and ignored him while heading back to the clock tower's entrance. "What in the name of Melro Mark 5, Motoyasu-sama is talking to you? Open your ears wide and pay attention to him," a fangirl bitch from behind Motoyasu said as they all glared at me with eyes full of contempt and bloodlust. 6. After that came the stereotypical mockery. They began to provoke me by sticking out their tongues and jeering. "This bitch, I'll kill her someday." "Naofumi-sama? Who are these people?" Raphtalia inclined her head and pointed at Motoyasu's group. I tried to walk away, deciding that it was best to simply leave and not answer her. At that same moment, Itsuki came waltzing through the entrance. "Tisk. Oh, Motoyasu-san and Naofumi-san." Itsuki seemed displeased with me clicking my tongue at him, but his good boy features soon returned. Rin had also come and walked up to us in silence, pretending to act cool. His equipment was undoubtedly much stronger than when his journey began. And then, both of their companions popped up one after another. The population within the clock tower quickly escalated. For +12, +1 we, the 4 summoned heroes, along with the 12 adventurers chosen by the king, and finally Raphtalia. That added up to a grand total of 17 people, a rather disappointing amount of troops for the impending threat. "Huh, 7, just who is this beauty? She's simply adorable." Motoyasu pointed at Raphtalia and uttered, "This guy, he's fine with anyone as long as they're female? To think that a hero would lust after a little girl? This country was finished." On top of that, He approached Raphtalia with filthy motives while affectionately introducing himself. Nice to meet you, young miss. I was summoned to this world as one of the 4 great heroes. Please call me by my name, Kitamura Motoyasu. I'm honored to make your acquaintance. Ah, yes, so you are one of those heroes. Raphtalia nodded timidly while her eyes eluded his gaze. May I have the pleasure of knowing your name? A troubled Raphtalia looked over at me and darted her glance back to Motoyasu. I'm Are Raphtalia. It's nice to meet you. She had probably guessed that I was quite ticked off. I understood that much from the cold sweat running down her face. This girl also wanted to ditch me and join Motoyasu's fan club, didn't she? God damn it. I've already tried to make a peaceful retreat here, so why did these bastards still have to fuck with my heart? What's your business here today, cutie? For what purpose are you carrying around such a dangerous sword and equipment? I am here to fight along with Naofumi-sama. That's why. Huh? For Naofumi. Motoyasu turned and stared at me with eyes full of suspicion. The hell are you looking at? You fiend, why are you dragging such a cute girl into these dangerous places? Motoyasu said while looked down on me with his eyes. I don't need to tell you the reason, asshole. And here I thought you would shoulder this battle alone. So you're just leeching off Raphtalia's kindness in the end. Damn, delusional retard. The trash spewing out from this son of a bitch, who trusted this parallel world's biggest whore more than a fellow hero, was seriously beginning to piss me off. I headed toward Itsuki and Ren's direction in order to make my exit. Those two and their merry companies opened up a path for me. Let's meet again during the wave. Don't be a burden to us. I walked past them with Itsuki giving off a professional response, while Rin gave a cruel, bossy one like a real lone wolf hero. Surprised by my suddenness, Raphtalia quickly rushed over to my side while looking around restlessly. I'm going. Hi. Naofumi-sama. After hearing my voice, she finally returned to her energetic self. Good grief, that was painfully unpleasant. Exiting the clock tower at last, I quickly passed through the castle town and made a beeline towards the meadow, growing more and more frustrated with each passing second. Naofumi-sama? What happened to you? Nothing really. Back then. What? Never mind. Sensing my awful mood, Raphtalia hung her head dejectedly as she followed behind me. Then a wild balloon appeared. 10. Raphtalia immediately unsheathed her sword. Wait, let me handle this one alone. But just let me. Raphtalia cowered in surprise from my sudden shout. The balloon appeared before my eyes. Aura, 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 aura. SH asterisk T. 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 Distracting myself by pummeling the balloon, I was able to calm down a little. I checked the remaining time from the corner of my vision. 18:01, 18 more hours. I needed to do what I could until then. After that, I went on a balloon hunt and collected medical meadow herbs along the way. They still needed to be compounded into beneficial medicine in preparation for the incoming wave. Then came evening. After returning to the inn to rest, Raphtalia humbly spoke to me. Naofumi-sama. What? The people this morning were heroes just like Naofumi-sama, right? URG. She had to remind me of that terrible experience. And here I had finally forgotten about it after all that diversion. Just what happened between all of you. I don't want to talk about it. If you want to know, then go to a bar and ask around. No one believed me when I told them the truth anyway. This girl was probably the same as the lot of them. However, a big difference between Raphtalia and others was that she was my slave. If she refused my orders, tried to escape, or rebelled against me, then she would be tormented by the curse. Judging it was for the best, Raphtalia didn't press the issue since I wasn't going to talk. To prepare for tomorrow, I compounded medicines until I fell asleep. I continued doing so for a long while. Previous chapter, next chapter. Chapter 19, Memory, Black Beast 017. In just another 17 minutes, the anticipated wave will spawn. This news should already be well known around town. Squadrons of knights and adventurers were geared up and ready to dispatch at a moment's notice, while the civilians barricaded themselves in their own houses. Since I was a hero, I couldn't even attempt to escape from the wave's outbreak due to the hourglass power. The same was applied to my party member. It was likely that Raphtalia would be teleported along with me. It's almost time, Raphtalia. Hi. Raphtalia nodded with a strangely enthusiastic and excited response. Well, I didn't voice any objection since it was a blessing to have her so motivated. Naofumi-sama, may I talk with you for a while? Hm, that should be fine. What's your concern? Oh no, somehow I felt so moved since we'll be fighting against the calamity soon. Why was she murmuring this and raising her own death flag? 1. I'll protect her since it would be a pain if she died. Wait, that was so unlike me. I was being influenced by too much anime and manga. Although this world was like a game, it definitely wasn't one. This world was real. And look at that. Those *TTY heroes had such fine equipment. I didn't even know if my armor was strong enough or not. It was likely that I would suffer some wounds. It would be great if this battle ended with only injuries, since I might even lose my life. If that were to happen, the trash heap of this country would rejoice at the sight of my corpse. A criminal's fitting end. Let's stop that. If I keep thinking this way, then I won't be able to fight. In order for me to survive for another month. The truth is that I was enslaved due to the spawning of the first calamity. Is that so? Certainly. I thought there was a slim chance that that might have been the case. I used to live in a remote region of this country. The demi-human village that I grew up in focused on agriculture and farming. It was also the spawn point of the very first wave. Her parents were kind, and everyone in the village lived peacefully, too. However, a huge horde of skeleton soldiers came out from within the wave of disaster. The skeleton soldiers only had large numbers at first, so the adventurers within the vicinity were able to suppress them. But the beasts and giant beetles kept overflowing in massive quantities. Because of that, the line of defense was soon breached. Then a pitch-black, three-headed Cerberus appeared, and the villagers were trampled upon like they were helpless wilderness buds. As Raphtalia's village was desolated beyond recognition, the villagers desperately tried to escape. Unfortunately, the monsters were merciless. They murdered everyone as if it was the greatest sport in the world. And like all the others, Raphtalia's parents took her and fled until they finally reached the edge of a sea cliff. Knowing that escape was futile, both parents faced Raphtalia and smiled. They didn't use that time to escape, but to gently stroke her frightened head instead. Raphtalia, from now on, you will surely find yourself in a terrible situation. You might even die from it. But you know what, Raphtalia? Both of us want you to continue living, so please forgive us for our selfishness. Even though she was young, she knew in her heart that her parents were only trying to keep her safe. No, Mommy, Daddy, 3 Dawn, 4, their single greatest wish was for Raphtalia to live, and so they pushed her off the cliff. 5. While she was falling, Raphtalia witnessed the scene of her parents being pounced upon by vicious monsters. Raphtalia plunged into the sea with a huge splash, yet she miraculously survived and was washed ashore at a nearby beach. After regaining her senses, Raphtalia rose up and returned to the cliffside in search of her parents. By then, the monsters were already subjugated by the adventurers and night squadrons. Walking through the sea of corpses with great difficulty, she managed to locate her parents. On that spot was a vast amount of blood and scraps of meat scattered everywhere. Realizing her parents' death, Raphtalia dropped down as something deep within her burst opened. 6. She then wandered around aimlessly, sobbing and sincerely wishing for the warmth of her parents in an effort to escape reality. And before she knew it, she had already been imprisoned within that dark corner of the circus tent. That place was comparable to hell. Every day, someone would be purchased or returned. 7. Raphtalia was also among those cases. In the beginning, they considered making her into a servant. A well-buffed noble bought her and tried teaching her multiple things. Not only was the coughing troublesome enough, she also shrieked like a banshee at night. Thus, she was promptly refunded back to the tent the next day. The next buyer also attempted to teach Raphtalia various stuff, but again she was immediately returned the following day. The owner before me was the cruelest buyer of them all. They purchased her one evening, whipped her throughout the entire night, and resold her, tattered and torn, the very next morning. I wasn't the least bit surprised that this country had sickos who would take pleasure in inflicting pain upon others. 8. She was wrecked by illness. Her heart was almost broken from the recurring nightmares, and she was used and abandoned countless times. That was before she was bought by me. You know, I'm very glad to have met you, Naofumi-sama. Yeah, you were the one who taught me how to live a proper life after all. Yeah, I absent-mindedly replied to Raphtalia's story with a mechanical tone. This didn't matter much at any rate. 9. For that reason, please allow me a chance. A chance to confront this wave. Yeah, with that said, I'll do my best. Haha, give it your best shot. Even I thought that I was acting a bit too cruel. However, my past self could only act in such a pitiful manner. 0-1 We have one more minute before it's time. I took my stance, prepared for the teleportation. Midnight Baiken. 10-8 Deafening sound echoed throughout the world. The very next instance, my vision was flushed away and the scenery around me changed. I was probably being warped. The sky dyed an eerie wine red. Cracks began peeling away and expanding outward through the sky due to the dimensional rift. So this is... While assessing the scene, 3 shadows dashed past me, followed by 12 other people. Those *TTY heroes. I also tailed them since it was the obvious thing to do, but where were they heading off to? While sprinting onward, I saw enemies come crawling out and pushing against each other through the large crack in the sky. This is the vicinity of Ryudo village. 11. Raphtalia anxiously exclaimed after examining the surrounding area. Since this is all farmland, a lot of people should still be dwelling here. But everyone should have already evacuated. Then a sudden realization hit me. We never knew beforehand where the wave of calamity would appear, right? Then how the hell would we know which locations needed to be evacuated? You fools, wait a minute. Refusing to heed my calls, the 3 idiotic heroes dashed straight towards the source of the wave. During that time, a group of monstrous spiders, having separated themselves from the overflowing monster horde, headed straight towards the village's direction. Wait, the buffoon hero troop had shot something like a bullet flare up into the sky, signaling a sort of message. It must have been to inform the night squadrons and rally them to their location. Tisk. Raphtalia, let's go protect the village. I was indebted to many of the people from Ryudo village. I'd definitely suffer from remorse if they got killed by the wave. Hi. We then rushed to a different direction, separating from those *TTY heroes. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Chapter 20. Wave of Calamity. We arrived right on time as the demons overflowing from the wave started to wreak havoc within the village. The adventurers and soldiers stationed there were barely able to defend against the horde's onslaught. They were greatly outnumbered, and the line of defense was about to break. Raphtalia, please evacuate the villagers. Huh? What about Naofumi-sama? I will aggro the enemy. I flung myself into the front line and bashed my shield against a group of locust-looking monsters. The sound of metal colliding was there, but the damage obviously wasn't. However, I was able to grab their attention. It was the same as what I had always done with Raphtalia. Guji, the herd of tiny locust-like monsters charged at my direction. Moving on, I immediately decided on my next targets, the ghouls and the swarm of wasps. Bang, bang, bang. Was it thanks to the barbarian's armor, or was it the shield? Either way, I received 0 damage as usual. Yuyusha-sama? Alright, you guys go and reorganize yourselves while I hold them back. I saw a lot of familiar faces within the Ryudo village bunch. Why, yes, sir. Fortunately, no one was fatally wounded among the survivors, even though I was the only one on the front line. What was that thought just now? How unpleasant. While I was dazed, the monsters attempted to knock me out of commission with their claw, fang, and needle attacks. Even though there were the sweet sounds of impact, I didn't feel any pain, only a bit of an itch. However, the feeling of them crawling all over my body was beyond disgusting. Hence I beat the crap out of the mobs. Womp. One damn it, didn't any of the inhabitants of this world know how to leave people alone? But I guess it couldn't be helped since the wave of great calamity was happening and all that. He helped him. Behind me, the innkeeper whom I was indebted to was being attacked by a monster. Right before the innkeeper got decapitated by the monster's claw, I shouted, "Airstrike shield." I cast the skill, and a life-saving shield was immediately summoned and rescued the innkeeper. He was surprised at the sudden appearance of the shield and looked towards my direction. Run for it. Ooh, thank you. After he bowed from his waist and voiced his gratitude, the innkeeper left the scene along with his family. Kaye. A stereotypical, ear-deafening shriek. It was the sight of a damsel in distress fleeing away with a gang of pursuing monsters. I approached the vicinity. Shield prison. I called forth a box of shields to surround and protect the damsel. With the shield's sudden appearance, the monsters switched their target to me. That's good. Come over here. I'm very delicious. 2. Before the duration time of the shield prison expired, I lured the monsters away and returned to the front line. Wham! Bam! Haha! My body steadily became heavier with the increasing number of monsters. Then, a rain of fire poured down on top of me. Behind the horde of monsters, I could spot the Knight Squadron's arrival. The magic users among their ranks were shooting out their magic, so this was the cause of the fire. Dudes, there are allies over here. Although, there was only me here. The monsters were quickly ignited and turned into cinders. Since there were a lot of insects, they burned nicely. Apparently, not only was my physical defense high, but my magical defense was as well. The front line was burning brightly with a crimson red. Anger swelled up from within me while questioning the motive behind this friendly fire. I glared and approached the Knight Squadron amidst the mayhem as my cloak fluttered, scattering the flames. 3. Humph. So that is the shield hero? He's surprisingly resilient. The person who appeared to be the Knight Commander threw me a glance and spat on the ground while uttering those words. Then a shadow dashed at him, brandishing a sword. And with a loud clang, the Knight Commander quickly unsheathed his own sword and locked blades with his attacker. What was the meaning of your actions against Naofumi-sama? I will cut you down depending on your answer, Raphtalia declared with great bloodlust. A companion of the shield hero. Huh? Correct. I am Naofumi-sama's blade. I shall not forgive any act of disrespect. How dare a demi-human try to speak on the same level as us knights? You have neglected your duties of protecting civilians and attacked your own allies, specifically Naofumi-sama, whom you tried burning along with all the monsters using your magic. For those reasons, you people are unfit to be called knights. Isn't it fine since he's still safe and sound over there? No, it's not. Raphtalia passionately continued arguing with the Knight Commander while the others began to surround her. Shield prison. Damn, you basta, I confined the encircling knights with my shields and stared down at the knights who tried to usurp my hard work. Aren't the real enemies here the monsters spawned from the wave? Don't mix up your objectives. Ashen-faced, the knights turned their heads away after my rebuttal. A criminal hero doesn't have the right to say such crap. Oh well, I'm fine with anything. So I guess it's safe to say that you guys want to make an enemy out of me. The front line was brimming with fire-blazing monsters who were crawling all over my face, with more and more from the wave joining the fray. Looking at me, withstanding all of that, the knights' faces turned completely blue. After all, I was the shield hero. Do not mess with this guy, or other lines of reasoning were there. Raphtalia, did you finish with the evacuation? No, it's not done yet. I believe that it will take a little bit more time. Understood. Then hurry up and evacuate the civilians. But, though our allies had rained fire on me, it wasn't even painful or ticklish. It just left a feeling of being licked on my arms and legs. I patted Raphtalia's shoulder and followed with a glare at the knights. I will definitely kill you, no matter what it will take. I'll lure the worst monsters here and abandon you, for example, as well as all that other fun stuff too. My threat was effective. The knights stopped chanting magic and gasped. Now then, Raphtalia, the fight's already started. Let's remove the disabled away from the battlefield, discarding all this dead weight. 4. Wow, look at that. There sure are a bunch of enemies. 5. Yes, let's do just that. Unexpectedly, since the knights can seemingly hold their own, it should be all right to ditch them here. Why yes. Upon my orders, Raphtalia rushed back to the village. *T. 6. Putting on airs even though you're just a criminal hero. The Knight Commander bellowed at me like an idiot right when the shield prison's duration time expired. All right, so you want to die? Monsters began to stir towards me. The idiot shuts up, knowing what would happen if I were to abandon them and only protect myself. Geez, I couldn't seem to find a decent person amongst all of these people. 7. These guys were the type that thought that I wouldn't be able to do anything other than protect others since I was nothing but a shield hero. Who the hell would ever help others for the fun of it? 8. Afterwards, the cleanup of the stranded monsters from the wave was completed to some extent. Once she was done with evacuating the civilians, 9, Raphtalia returned to the front line. That was when I commenced my retaliation. Using the Knight Squadron as our human shield, we finished off the monsters by baiting them into our encircled formation. 10, and a few hours had passed by in no time at all. All right, I guess that's the end. Seems like it. This boss was a cakewalk. Yep, at this rate, the next wave will also be a cinch. Our bravely fought heroes were simply chatting at the heart of the front line, where the corpse of a chimera, the wave's boss, laid. 11. It was as if the job of evacuating civilians were only the adventurers' and knights' responsibility. Even though a month had already passed, these folks still think that all of this is nothing but a game. It was quite a hassle for me to ignore these *T2Y heroes, but I was relieved that I managed to survive this wave. The sky's color was still pitch black, although it was only a matter of time before it would be dyed orange by the setting sun. With this, I should be able to stay alive for at least another month. Although I didn't receive any damage, that was probably due to the wave being weak, for now. I honestly don't know if I can endure the next one. Sooner or later I'll be unable to withstand their attacks. What in the world would happen to me then? A job well done, oh brave heroes. The king has properly readied a feast in celebration for your achievements. We humbly invite you to join in since we will also be handing out your rewards there. I naturally didn't want to participate. However, I had no more money, so I'll bless them with my presence. Let us depart together. Indeed, it was expected for them to prepare our tributes, ones which equal our efforts for every wave. 500 silver coins. That was quite a sum of money for me at the moment. The Ryudo villagers saw me and came over to talk. What? Thank you very much. We would all be dead if you weren't here. It would be the same if I wasn't around. No. Another villager refused my comment. It was thanks to you being there that we were able to survive. 12. If you think so, then just do whatever you want. Yes. The villagers bowed to me and went back. Their village was violently raided. I suppose that it would be quite a hassle to reconstruct it afterwards. They merely expressed their gratitude to their life savior, whom they usually despise. What a calculating bunch. 13. Now Fumisama. After the long battle, a muddy, sweaty, and smiling Raphtalia came running over to me. We really did it. Everyone is expressing their gratitude. I guess. With this, there will be nobody who'll end up like me. It was all thanks to Naofumi-sama. HAAA. 14. So this was what they called a post-war bliss, famous throughout the history of my birthplace. Wink with a frown. 15. Raphtalia was moved to tears. I too tried my best. Right, you did well. I praise her while patting her head. That's right. Raphtalia had followed my orders and fought devotedly. It would be a folly of mine to falsely evaluate that. I defeated a bunch of monsters. Haha, that certainly saved me. Gihi. 16. I felt a bit uncomfortable with Raphtalia laughing so blissfully like this. Dude. Wink with a frown. 17. We headed towards the castle. Well, as expected of our heroes. I cannot contain my surprise after seeing the difference between the casualties from this battle and the last. Once the sun had gone down and the night sky had taken over, the king declared loudly to his grandiose banquet held within the castle. On that note, I had no idea what the casualty count was before, but this time the casualties were within the single digits. Though I had no intention of taking credit for that. I didn't resent that bunch of muscle-headed heroes at all. 18. For charging in and beating the crap out of the monsters while leaving me behind to do all the cleanup. However, I thought to myself that we'll eventually be left in a sorry state at this rate. We were lucky this time, but who knew what would have happened if the knights didn't arrive on time? It was thanks to the sand hourglass for sending us close to them. This was such a heavy subject. Cry out for help, and aid shall come. 19. It was about the battle. 20. Against the wave. Mobilizing knights to accompany us when we got teleported by the hourglass was a valid possibility. But didn't the knights get left behind right after we were teleported the last time? It must have been their attitude. Those people didn't want to acknowledge me as a hero, so that's why they weren't teleported. But didn't the party of those *TTY heroes get teleported too? Just, how the hell? 21. This kind of setting was weird as hell if this was a game. Anyways, aren't we in big trouble? This is the part where they will drop their guard just because aid arrived. In short, it's complicated stuff. I ate my share in an appropriate-looking corner while the banquet was being held. This is such a feast. Raphtalia stared at the mountain of food which she normally couldn't get a chance to eat with eyes shining like stars. 22. Go and eat whatever you want. Yes, sir. 23. I don't usually give her a lot of good food to eat, so it would be wise to let her eat whatever she desired here. Once she ate her fill, she would be an even better war asset. 24. But I'll gain weight if I eat too much. You didn't even hit your growth spurt yet, right? URG. For some reason, Raphtalia was making a very troubled expression. It's fine to eat whatever you want. Do you prefer fat girls, Naofumi-sama? 25, huh? What was she saying? Not at all. Just thinking about women would only make me imagine that bitch. A lot of unpleasant feelings would also pop up. To begin with, that woman was a life form that was repulsive to the mind. I suppose that's right. That's just like the usual Naofumi-sama. She said as if giving up on whatever was on her mind. Naofumi-sama, this is so good. That's nice. Yes. This banquet was such a waste of time. Just when will I get my reward? This place was like a cesspool of garbage. Just looking around made my anger boil. Thinking back, it was quite possible that the rewards would be handed out tomorrow. Then was this a fool's errand? No. Since the food was good, I'll let it fly. It's not the same for normal people since Raphtalia was in the middle of her growth spurt. By no means I am a fool to pass this chance up. I wonder if they have something like a container in order to bring food home. One should always think about tomorrow and never waste money. I'll have asked them to let me have the rest and recook the food later. Anything that can be considered food will be fine. 26. Amidst the crowd, a raging Motoyasu was pushing his way through, heading towards our direction. 27. Really, just what the hell is wrong today? Since it looked like a pain in the ass, the crowd split apart and made way for that trash, Motoyasu, as he glared at me with intense hatred. Yo, Naofumi. What? He removed the glove on one of his hands and threw it at me. If I was right, that guy wanted to challenge me to a duel. 28. The crowd was stirred into motion by his following statement. Duel with me? Just what are you talking about? Was his brain finally fried? You'll turn into an idiot if you kept on thinking about games all day long. The goddamn spear hero who charged in to kill the boss like a madman, ditching all the innocence that he should have defended. I know it all. Raphtalia-chan was only tagging along with you just because she's your slave. He was burning with fighting spirit as he pointed at me and denounced. The person in question was feasting upon her piled-up delicacies. So what about it? So what about it? You say? Did you seriously just say that? HAA. What's wrong with possessing a slave? There was nobody that was willing to fight alongside me. Hence, I bought and used a slave. And this country didn't have a ban on slavery anyway. So, for what reason did he go on a rampage for? She's my slave. What's it to you? It's not the enslavement that's wrong. It's because we're heroes with different worldly ethics than the people here, which makes your actions wrong. 29. Isn't that a bit too late? There were plenty of slaves back in our world, right? I didn't know anything about Motoyasu's world, but it was literally impossible for mankind's history to be without the existence of slavery. A different way of interpreting it would be, members of society are slaves to the higher corporations. Unforgivable. Are you even using your head? Think with that goddamn brain of yours. Forcing others to follow their own biased beliefs. This guy's mind has problems. But it's such a shame that this is a different world. Slaves exist here. And what's the problem with me using them? BAS tarred. Gritting his teeth, Motoyasu swung his fist at me. 30. Duel with me. If I win, release Raphtalia-chan. 31. Why would I have to accept this challenge to begin with? What's in it for me anyways? You can do whatever you desire with Raphtalia-chan. Just like now. Are you retarded? 32. I attempted to ignore Motoyasu and leave, since this duel had nothing to offer me. I have heard Motoyasadano's story. The excited crowd made room for the king to pass through. I heard that one of the heroes was using slaves, although only as a rumor. If you refuse Motoyasadano's proposal, then I shall order it. Duel. My ass. Just hand over this wave's reward already. I have no time to waste in a place like this. The king sighed and twitched his fingers. The soldiers appeared out of nowhere and began to surround me. When I looked over at Raphtalia, she was detained by the soldiers. Naofumi-sama. Are you threatening me? I said while staring him down with all the force I could muster. This guy, he didn't believe what I said at all. So that's the case, didn't know that I was intruding here. If you're in this country, then my word is absolute. I can even forcibly confiscate the shield hero slave if it comes down to that. Tisk. Things like undoing the curse placed upon a slave. The court magicians probably knew about such techniques. In other words, to preserve my connection with Raphtalia, I have to fight. Don't fuck with me. I barely even got any return for my purchase on this slave. Whose money and time do you think was invested on her? This match is meaningless. I am Oward. 33. A piece of cloth was rolled up and stuffed into Raphtalia's mouth so that she wouldn't be able to say anything. The owner has the power to strengthen the punishing curse of the inflicted individual. Therefore, let us stop this slave from speaking any further. You just did that so that I would have to participate in the duel. Aren't we simply granting you the participation prize? What? You boff? Well then, the duel shall be held in the castle's garden. That asshole of a king interrupted my complaint and declared the duel location. *T. Don't you people see that I have no attack power? This is like a gimped race. Previous chapter. Next chapter.